Good morning. I'm Nancy Barrow, and this is the Beat of Connecticut on Hot 93.7, hot937.com. And today I'm talking to an author that we talked to a couple weeks ago on the morning show. It is Anna Nyakana. Anna is here talking about her new book. Let's talk about a little bit of your background before we get into the book. Like, where were you raised? Because you have an interesting background, really.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's very diverse.
It is.
That's why I wrote a diverse book.
Yeah.
So I was born in 1986 in Berlin, Germany. My mother's from a small country called Moldova. It's former Soviet Union. So not Russia, but former Soviet Union.
Oh, my goodness.
And my father's from East Africa, from Uganda. He actually studied in the Soviet Union for college, met my mother there. My brothers
and that's the story.
That's the story. My brothers were born there. I was born in Germany. And then after growing up there for 5-6 years, we immigrated to the United States.
So do you have dual citizenship since you were born there, or do you not have dual citizenship?
I don't have it. I was supposed to claim it by 18, but by
you
then...
were? Yeah, by then you were like,
right,
I'm not going
American,
back. Yeah.
My mind is somewhere else, so...
I'm not going back for Wiener Schnitzel.
I should have done it,
right?
Even just for the free education.
Or for just going to Oktoberfest in Munich.
That too.
You know what I mean?
That too.
It's a good look. So this diverse background that you had and the education that you had, did you major in English or anything like that?
I did not. I actually majored in business. Yeah, but I was able to use a lot of my business background for self-promotion because I am an independent author.
Yeah,
so
right.
As an independent author, you don't have the backing of a big publishing company to kind of lay things out for you, set up appearances, work with a distributor, get your books in certain schools or certain stores. So I have to do all the groundwork myself, contacting administrators in schools, contacting media such as yourselves, trying to get in to promote the book, spread the message of what I'm trying to accomplish with it in the schools.
When you decided that you wanted to sit down and write this book, go through the process, because I've always wanted to write a children's book. I have an idea in my head, but I
want to know about that.
Yeah, I want to write a children's book because and it's a true story, but it's a sad story. So I'm like, I don't know if I want to make kids sad, but it's a good lesson, I guess, young, about loss and stuff. But tell me how you got to write a book. Something happened and it came in your head like, I'm just going to write a book?
For the most part.
Really?
I was sitting in my living room. I think I touched on this before, but I was sitting in my living room with my husband. I said, I really want to write a children's book. Well, what am I passionate about? I'm passionate about diversity, and I could remember as a child never being able to find books that had characters on the cover that looked like me. So I wanted to write something that was a piece of myself and how I grew up.
Yeah.
A lot of that has kind of been erased, like where I grew up. I actually grew up in housing projects in Stanford. They don't even exist anymore.
Oh, really?
Because they're all bulldozed, and now this is the new age Stanford, you know?
Yeah, Stanford's pretty bougie right now.
Exactly. It was more of a Hartford back in the 90s, so
right.
everything has fundamentally changed. And at that time, we didn't have cable. All we could do was really go outside and play with our friends and use our imagination.
Yeah.
And my school, thankfully, was diverse because of the area that the neighborhood was in.
Sure,
all the
yeah.
kids that I grew up with were the kids in my classroom. And then as I got older, I have children of my own now as well, and I started noticing that the books that the kids were reading in school didn't actually have any diversity in them.
Which is surprising in this day and age.
It's so hard.
How old are your kids?
My second is 3. My youngest is 10 months, and I also have a 17-year-old stepson.
Okay.
So I went through a lot of
So
this
you
with
went
him.
a lot of it.
Yeah, I went through a lot of this with him, and he is and was such an avid reader. We read a lot of the same books together, and I was just noticing this trend, and I said, I want to do something about this.
Were you an avid reader when you were growing up?
I was an avid reader, but I was also a music lover. I thought I was going to grow up to be a musician, so I was always writing. That was my thing, and I put my 10,000 plus hours in more so in writing.
Yeah.
So it gave me a really great experience to be able to start putting my story to pen when it came time.
So that's your creative edge. Do your parents play instruments, or did they give you a lot of your creativity? Or
my father's a music lover. He gave me a lot of the vinyl that I still have.
Oh, there
today.
you go, girl.
Like we were talking.
I know. I got rid of a lot of my vinyl.
Oh, you got to keep it. The Michael Jackson,
I know.
Chaka Khan, the Donna Summers,
So
the Bee
good.
Gees. I mean, you name it, I have it. And my mother is the one who physically plays instruments and sings. And in the Soviet Union, that's all they could really do at that time. A lot of their rights were taken away.
Yeah, right? Yeah, it must have been amazing hearing her story about growing up in the Soviet Union, former Soviet Union.
She's tried to write a book a few times, but it's stopped. I think the pain has been a little too much for her
Really?
to have to relive. Yeah. My father, he grew up under the Idi Amin regime. They've had a lot of suffering in there. The challenges that they went through, they really instilled a lot in my brothers and I.
Yeah.
Persevering, overcoming your challenges, not being fearful of really following your dreams. It sounds cheesy, but it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't sound cheesy at all, because when you walked into the morning show, there's just a real confidence about you, and I don't know if that's what your parents instilled in you, but you have it's not a like over the top confidence. It's just you are very confident in who you are.
Thank you, Nancy.
But I felt that from you when you walked in. You know what I mean? Like I really feel that parents can do that. They tell, like my mom said, you can be anything you want to be.
Exactly.
You know, and really like inspired me. Like, oh, I can do anything I want to be. Then I'm going to do something in music. So it's funny that I ended up where I am.
And a lot of children, they grow up, and because of some of the challenges that they go through in their life, the world kind of beats them down a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's some of the great reaction that I've been able to have with the children that I'm interacting with. They're seeing my book and they're saying, you actually did this, and I really love your character, Niyah. She sounds like me. She looks like me. You know, I really want to be a biologist, and I didn't think there was a way for me to go to college, but she's fearless. I think I can be fearless too. And that's what it's all been about for me.
Well, let's talk about the book.
Yes.
It's Niyah Zuri and the Pharaoh's Throne. So I love the art on the front.
Thank you.
I do. I just love the whole thing. I think it's very kid-friendly.
I had to make sure every single characteristic was captured, whether it's the hair, the dimples, the sneakers, the color of the T-shirt, Reggae Fest T-shirt, right?
Yeah, I know. I love
that.
it.
The fact that in the first book, because I do plan for this to be a series, they go from suburbia, because it was essentially Connecticut, to ancient Egypt. So it does a blend on the front cover, going from these two worlds, right? This time jumping. But I also wanted to make sure it was colorful. It was something that was exciting, that caught the eye. But I'm so happy that you love the cover.
Because I think the kids are very visual. You know, if it doesn't interest them, they're not going to pick it up, right?
Exactly.
They're not going to pick it up. And I just remember my mom reading me Alice in Wonderland, and the cover of the book was so beautiful.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, so she would read me that book when I was younger, but I always looked at the covers of books, and if they captured my attention, I would always get them. I told you that, like, we had a reading book, like, that we would a book club. So I would always look at the covers of the books, and if they had animals on them,
that was your thing.
That was my thing. So that's what got me really into the reading, was really being interested. Like, I think the covers really matter. And I don't know if a lot of authors think that, but I really...
They should think that.
Yeah.
Or even in the music world, right? The cover art, or at least on CDs. We were looking at those CDs in box office.
Yeah.
That was the whole point of having this beautiful artwork that captured the listener, right?
So talk to me about how you got to the time jump from, like, here into Egypt. So how did that all get in your mind?
It's a really
Were you drinking the night that
I was not. I was not. I'm a big sci-fi fan.
Okay, so, you're like me. Okay, great.
Right, Stranger Things.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, the OA.
Yes.
Oh, good
Black
stuff.
Black Mirror.
Yes.
All great.
Good.
Twilight Zone.
Yes.
Junkie, right?
Good stuff. Really
Absolutely.
good stuff.
So I wanted it to have some of that element, the sci-fi element, mystical element, and then also pull in some of the science. And the characters accidentally time travel the very first time to the Triassic period. So there's dinosaurs, they're in this jungle, they're trying to figure out where they are, they're looking at their surroundings, and as children are going through the book, they're picking up on all these descriptions, right? All of this vocabulary, and they're learning about the different fauna and flora. And when the characters realize that they're no longer in their clubhouse in the back of, about the back of their school, and they're trying to figure out, it must have been from this map. We read this date, and it transported us. We have no idea where we are. How are we going to get out of here? And then in a scramble, I don't want to give it all away, but in a scramble, they figure it out. They time jump back to their present day, and they say, okay, this map is very powerful. How are we going to figure out how to use its power without hurting ourselves? And what's the purpose of this? So what's the mission? Come to find out, their missions are going to be assigned by Niyah's teacher, Mrs. Ridley, who's someone who is my own teacher.
Oh, that's so cool.
She was actually my second grade teacher, someone that I remembered and I carry to this day with me. She really looked out for me. A big representation of how important educators are in the lives of
I know
children.
all of my teachers, like from third grade, Mrs. Affett, Miss Bickerman. I know all of my teachers because they were so instrumental.
Absolutely. They spend so much time with your children.
Yes.
And they can inspire and build your children up. And Miss Ridley was such an important person to me. So I named my Niyah's teacher after her.
So does she know that?
She does know that. She's still alive to this day, and I made sure to send her a copy of my book.
You did?
I did.
What did she say? That's really cool.
It brought tears to her eyes. She used to do my hair before school. My mother had no idea what to do with this crazy mess.
Your curly, beautiful hair.
She ended up shaving it all off at one point. she took special interest in me, and it was nice to have that special one-on-one connection
Wow.
with the teacher, especially
That's
as I
really-
was still learning English and everything. So
Yes.
Mrs. Ridley in the book assigns the children their missions, and their first mission is to go back into ancient Egypt and to help Tut, because at that time he's actually their same age. He's only 8, 9 years old. People think when they hear about, ancient Egypt, and
Yeah.
Prince Tutankhamun, he's one of the most infamous
Yeah.
pharaohs, right? The characters meet him and help him overcome that fear of ruling, because he's a small child. His father just passed away, and now the entire kingdom is on his back looking to him for guidance, and he has no idea where to even start.
What was it that made you decide that you were going to go back to that era?
Well, I have a connection to Africa because I am Ugandan,
Yeah.
right? And I feel that Egypt is one of the most well-known countries,
Yeah.
and that is actually studied in curriculum today. So I did my research, and I had to try to figure out around the ages of 8 to 11 years old, what is being taught in the school system, at least in Connecticut, but also across the country. What's
Yeah.
being taught as far as history and social studies? And I noticed ancient Egypt was a big one.
Okay.
So I did my research, and I said, well, okay, I'm African. I know a lot of things I can put in here that maybe the typical textbooks don't know.
Well, I was wondering about like the flora and the fauna. Like, is that something that you knew about, or did you also really research that stuff?
I had to research it, Nancy. This
Girl.
book took me a long time to read. I took years to research. I had to make sure that the facts that I was putting in here were accurate, because this isn't just a fiction book, it's historical fiction.
Oh,
so I have to
okay.
make sure that this is something that could also be cited, that could be used as a
So
source.
wait, so it took you 3 years to really do all the research?
To
so
research, to write, to edit, revise.
Okay.
You were asking me, well, what really gave you the idea? There was a lack of diversity in books. I noticed that with my stepson as he was growing up in the books that he was being assigned in school, and I said, I'm going to do something about it. Why do I keep noticing that there's an issue? I want to do something about it. Let me take my skill of writing, which I believe I have, and put it to pen. What's the worst that could happen? A child not connect with the characters?
Yeah, right.
But it's the complete opposite. My very first school was International Magnet School in South
Oh.
Windsor. I branched into Bloomfield, Metacomet Elementary School. I also worked with their after-school program, Pretty Brown Girls.
So did you have to call the schools and get and talk to them, or how did you get yourself in there? Because I know you're an
Calling.
independent.
Yes, calling, emailing, knocking on the doors, trying to get meetings to go in and meet with the principals, with any interested teachers, any administrators, trying to contact the superintendents in that school district. That's something they can pass on to their principals to see, well, who's interested, and come to find out the overwhelming response I received was, oh, our kids need this. Our classes need this. I have this after-school program that could really use this. Can you come in and speak during Women's History Month, Black History Month? I found myself volunteering my time, coming into the schools, just talking with the children, talking with them about some of the messages in the book, talking about how to overcome challenges, talking to them about building the vocabulary, literacy. I mean, you name it. I tailor my visits to whatever the school needed.
And I feel like being comfortable in your own skin is really a big message for kids these days. And I just feel like all these kids are happy on the front and together.
It really is, especially with social media.
I know,
Nancy.
and bullying and things like that.
Yes, and you have to keep up with this person and that person. You have to really love yourself, believe in yourself. That was one of the messages at my last author visit I mentioned at Capital Prep. I kept telling them, believe in yourself. Others will follow. But if
Yeah.
you don't believe in yourself first, nothing's going to happen afterwards.
So how did you write the book? So did you do it at night or after the kids were asleep?
Any spare moment I had. So it started as an outline. And
Yep.
from there, I actually started writing the first sentence of the book. Do you want to hear the first sentence?
Yeah.
The heavy clouds burst with rain the day the Niyah Zuri family moved into their new home.
There you go. And you're already interested in what happens next.
What happens next? Chapter 1, reaching Lotus, because they live on Lotus Drive, and also pulling the element of the lotus flower.
Yep.
It grows in this muddy
It does, and
muck.
it's so beautiful.
Finds a way to actually reach out of the water and bloom to get the rays from the sun. And it's a transformation that the character is going through in the first part of the book, because she moves out of the projects from an apartment building into, a suburb home in a completely new neighborhood. She knows no one. She has to make completely new friends. She feels guilty for the life that she left behind.
Yeah.
And the subpar education she left behind. She's now going to be going to a pretty good school because she now lives in a good neighborhood.
Yeah.
And that's how public schools are formed these days. And realizes that she has to let go of her fear and her pain. And as the story continues, she meets her new friends. friends, Miguel and Hugo Gonzalez. They click. She's trying to help them find their new dog. I know that you're an animal
Yeah,
lover,
you know
so
that.
they
You
have
know
this
that.
crazy dog. They named him Pharaoh, just dogs. They couldn't think of another name, and they thought it was funny. And they're always bickering because they're completely different twins. And then they form this amazing friendship throughout the book, and the three of them end up time traveling. And it just goes to show that it doesn't matter what type of walk of life that you come from. You can make friends in the most amazing places and strange phases of your life.
It's so true, and it does change all the time. It's like life is not just going to keep you in one place.
No,
and it's how you deal with the change,
exactly,
and how you grow with the whole situation. So, when you were writing the book, like, did you get writer's block? Because a lot of people talk about writer's block.
Oh, a lot of times I got writer's block, and you know what ended up happening? If I couldn't figure out how to end a certain storyline in a chapter, I just skipped it and I went ahead, and I knew that.
You did?
Okay, in the next chapter, I want them to be doing this. So I don't know how they're going to bust out of this tomb. Right now, but they eventually get to Tut. So let me just get to that part, and then I'll backtrack and figure it out.
And so, did your husband help you with any of this situation, or was he?
I mean, he helped me by encouraging me.
Yeah.
He helped me by also picking up the slack of the other things
the
that
kids.
I couldn't do with the kids. I mean, every time I do an author event, where the kid's going to go. If they're not
that's
in preschool
true.
Or daycare.
You don't even think about that
He's
stuff.
always been flexible, and my life.
Oh,
I really couldn't do it without him.
So good. Oh, I love hearing all those good stories. That's so good. So tell me about your next brainchild, because you said you want to do like a series of these, right?
Yes,
so
you're trying to get all the details.
I know, just
out
trying
of me,
to get a little bit, Anna, just a little.
So in the first book, the antagonist of the story, for those who don't know what that is, it's kind of the, or for children who don't know what that is, it's more of like the bad guy, right? The person in the character that's in the book that's causing conflict.
Right.
So in the book, the character, her name is Min Lee. She lives across the street from Niyah. She's always kind of spying on her at night because Niyah uses her telescope, all of these things. And she's a character within herself. She's head to toe in pink constantly. I mean, from the hair bows to the sneakers to the backpack.
Oh, she's
just
the
like
girl.
a blur of pink, right? But she's a loner. She's on her own, and she always is kind of meddling with the boys. She doesn't like boys, and Niyah's best friends are boys.
Yeah,
So
which I love that.
she may want to be friends with Niyah, but she can't overcome her own fear of kind of getting to know other kids that aren't like her. She's a single child in a family. So she's like, okay, I'm not even going to really befriend Niyah whatsoever. So the antagonist ends up stumbling on Niyah and Miguel and Hugo when they come back from ancient Egypt. So they're time traveling. There's like a flash bomb when they come back and boom, hit the ground back in their clubhouse. And who's standing there in head to toe pink? Min.
Okay.
She snuck in when they left. So by the time they came back, to them it may have been days, but for her it was just 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Lapsed.
Yeah.
So she comes in, and my idea for the second book is to actually bring her more into the forefront. She's going to overcome her own fear of making new friends and join the crew.
So will she get more into the science end of things, do you think?
That's where I'm bringing the science element. So what the kids don't know is she's actually a coder. She's a brain whiz. She's only staying in the 4th grade because she wants to be around kids her own age. She's on a whole different level.
Oh, shoot. Okay.
Exactly. So in some shape or form, the map ends up losing some of its power. Something happens. I'm not going to give it all away.
Yeah.
Something happens, and Min finds a way to actually use coding to fix the map. And that restores its power in order to continue to time travel.
So they can do their more adventures.
Exactly. So they can get their new missions and go on their new adventures.
That is so cool. Will they be in Russia at all, or the former Soviet Union?
You have to wait and see.
But I really find it fascinating that you're using like Niyah as she's like in a scientist, and she's, like you said, she uses a telescope.
Yes.
That's not historically what girls are really great at, which I think is really cool that she's doing that.
Thank you so much. And that was another big thing for me, because diversity doesn't just mean racial or cultural diversity. It also means gender diversity.
Yeah.
And the fact that I have a heroine, she's the main character. I mean, you look at like Harry Potter, Hermione's in the background. She's smart
the smartest.
as a whip.
She's smarter than everybody.
She's in the background. I mean, at the end of the series, her true powers and her true contributions really come to the forefront of what she can help the group with.
I'm going to go to your business background
Okay.
now. So when you had the book and you're independent,
yes,
how expensive is it to get a book like this done? I mean, that's a lot. And you had to get copies for the kids to read, right?
Yes.
That's a big chunk of money, of your own money, that you had to come out of pocket with.
Yes, you definitely have to invest Do your homework, do your research, whether if it's the book world, the music world, fashion world, whatever it is that you're interested in, and understand how it works. So once I realized, if I'm not going to have a big publisher backing me, how am I going to get this, into the schools? How am I going to get it in Barnes and Nobles? I can just walk in and order it. I realized, well, I don't have to have a publisher to do that. I actually need distribution. Okay, how do I get my book distributed?
Yeah, that's
and that
it.
was the ticket. So that was the aha moment for me. I'm like, okay, I'm going to contact Ingram, and it's the world's leading distributor. So I said, I'm going to contact Ingram, submit my manuscript, see if this is something that they're interested in. They were interested in it. They partnered up with me. And then I just had to find a printing vendor. So all these different elements.
That's a lot.
I didn't have anyone to do it for me, but, you live and you learn, and as you're going about this process, you realize, okay, now I need an illustrator. I need someone to create this, compelling cover for me.
Yeah, which is big.
And you think you're done with your manuscript? I need an editor to look through this, someone who does, actually have an English major, someone who can really make sure that my writing is on point for this age range, I did my own research, and as far as the type of guidelines of what children are reading these days and their curriculum, Common Core is a big thing that's still being implemented in
So
the
what
schools.
age bracket are you looking at this
So I'm
point?
looking at from 8 to 11.
Okay.
I had a kindergartner that bought my book the other day.
No
just
way.
because she loved the story at
And the
my
cover.
visit. She loved the cover. And she's like, this looks like me. That looks like my brother. And, they speak Spanish. I speak Spanish. The book isn't in Spanish. It does have a lot of Spanish words in it because of the characters.
Yeah.
Niyah, her background, I kind of leave it vague, but her father is from Africa, where we don't know. So there's some Swahili in there. And the great thing is that the children can actually flip through the book, and anything that's underlined is a word in the glossary that's in the back of the book. So as they're reading, they're learning about things, whether if it's Andromeda. What's Andromeda? Oh, it's the Milky Way's neighbor galaxy. Or they're learning about a different word that they've never heard, like samurai. Oh, what's samurai? It's a noble military warrior of medieval and early modern Japan. So they're learning this.
Oh, that's great that you underlined words that they would have to go and look up.
That was the whole point, so they can actually build their vocabulary. And the margins are large in here, so kids can highlight, they can take notes. Use this as your book report. Use this as something that you can be taught in the schools. That's the whole purpose.
So good.
I don't want to just sell 100,000 copies on Amazon and then split my profit with Amazon at the same point.
Exactly.
I mean, that's my business mind.
So is that one of the reasons you didn't go to a publisher, or would you go to a publisher if you go, if the next books, do you want to go to a publisher, or do you like doing it by yourself?
I would love to work with a publisher if they can stick with the message in my book and not completely try to transform my characters, to kind of water them down.
That's the hard part. That's
I had
like being
one
an
that was
artist.
interested, one and two that were kind of interested, but they really wanted me to change a couple fundamental parts of my book. I'm like, listen, I'm open to anything. This would be an opportunity of a lifetime.
Yeah.
But I can't change Niyah. I can't change this character, and I can't change that character and the message that I'm trying to do. Are we aligned? And at that point, I realized we're going to have to go our separate ways.
Yeah.
Not closing it off for the future opportunity. So whoever's out there, Simon & Schuster, Scholastic, give me a call. If this is something that's important to you, bringing diversity into the schools, having the message of multiculturalism, heroism, overcoming your challenges. I mean, there are some really great elements in this book that children are relating to.
So if someone's listening to this and they want to buy your book, how can they buy it? Where can they get your book?
So they can get it from my website, annanyakana.com, ANNANYAKANA. They can also walk into their local Barnes & Noble, their Amazon, any other independent or non-independent bookstore and order it.
And they can order it.
They can order it because I have my global distribution. So that's what it's all about.
Oh, my God. So this is great that you had a business background, because this really came in handy when you were writing the book.
It definitely came in handy.
and it takes a lot. It's not just an easy thing. You sit down, you write a book, and then that's it.
Right,
There's
so
a
the book
lot.
is my passion.
Yeah.
Now you have to do the promotion.
Now you got to do all that. Now you got to really hustle.
And my love, and it's not, once again, it's not just about selling the books, it's about getting it into the schools. So some schools,
That's
great,
it.
they have a budget and they can afford to order 1,000 copies.
Yeah.
Some schools don't, and they can only maybe order 1 or 2 books for their library. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I'm about making an impact to my community. That's fine. Order 1 copy for your library. I'm still coming to speak with your kids.
Which is
That's
perfect.
what it's about for me.
That's
and
what
next
it's
year,
about.
You can find it in your budget. A lot of the public schools, they're being slashed. They just don't have the funds. But once again, it's not about just selling the book. It's about connecting with the kids.
And it's the message that you want.
Yes.
And it's really interesting just hearing your journey about really going to, a big company, a big publisher, and they wanted to change things.
unfortunately.
And that, as an artist or someone who's like creative, that's really tough. That's what a lot of artists, like music artists, have a lot of trouble with, getting a deal.
And sometimes you step back and say, okay, I'll do it.
Yeah, I know.
In this case, I said, well, what's the worst that can happen? I try on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as soon as I realized that I had to overcome my own fear of rejection, is when my book actually started spreading across.
And have you broken even, or are you ahead?
I've broken even.
Okay.
I'm ahead now.
Oh, good.
Oh yeah, I'm ahead.
Okay, she's ahead. Okay, because it's a lot of expense.
It's a lot of expense.
It's a lot of expense, which is fantastic that you're ahead now.
Yes.
So we just have to get this into all the schools.
All the schools.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking for great administrators to partner with and spread this message. You know, like we were talking about, amazing women doing amazing things right now in this country and even in our own state. Let's talk about our girl, Johanna Hayes.
Oh my gosh.
Teacher of the Year.
She's the greatest.
She's now in Washington representing us, bringing about some change.
She's amazing.
But she's from our local Waterbury, Newport, and I'm one of her constituents. I voted for her.
Me too. I am too. Yeah. High five.
There we go.
And we had her in the studio, and we have a great interview. If you ever want to go see it, it's on hot937.com and our social media and everything. So you could go check that out, because Johanna is just amazing.
Isn't she amazing?
She just, I mean,
I
said she's going to be president, or she's going to be vice president soon. I see that.
We said it here first.
I feel that.
Yes.
She has that kind of energy. She really does. And so do you. So Thank I really feel that you're just like, you have really great energy.
Thank you so much.
So,
but let's keep the impact going, right?
Yeah, yes.
Her focus was on the kids, making a difference, just stepping up. Schools from across the country can actually find my page on the Microsoft Educator page.
That is fantastic. So Anna Nyakana is here with us, and you have to get her book. It's Niyah Zuri and the Pharaoh's Throne. Please get it. It's so beautiful.
Thank you, Nancy.
It's just a beautiful book. And
Spread
you
the message.
are so positive. I love you, Anna. You're just really great. I'm Nancy Pharaoh, and this is The Beat of Connecticut on Hot 93.7, hot937.com. Have a great Sunday.